Hi, welcome back to the second part of tonight's edition with Dave and John, and we're going to look back at all the Pro 12 action. So we start off with Leinster's good win over in Italy.
Yeah, it was
33 points to 10.
It was a very good win. There was a certain amount of, I don't want to say fear, but there was a certain amount of trepidation based on the inexperience of the backline.
It was like last man standing.
Yeah, because everybody else was over in America. But here's the thing, right? Despite the perceived inexperience of the backline, right? We had a guy with a fair bit of Super Rugby experience at 9, inexperienced out half. Guy with a lot of experience of the Pro 12 at 12, inexperienced 13. And then you had two relatively inexperienced wings who have been around the place, but then you'd Issa at 15. It was a nice blend.
Spine.
It was a nice blend. Then you look at the pack. The pack was strong.
Was a mother.
The pack was really strong. I think Zebre targeted this game. They expected us to have a lot of players away, and they were right.
And they had none.
They had no players missing. They were expecting us to have a lot of players away in America, and they expected this was a game that they were targeting. They played well last week. They were on a bit of a roll, and I think their intention was to take us on up front. That didn't really work out for them.
Didn't work out so well.
They held it to 10 points to 12 at half time.
But then we just stretched away.
Well, I thought it was interesting that Cullen decided to change things up pretty much from the get-go in the second half. He brought off the entire front row after 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And brought on fresh legs, who all performed. But he gave first start to
Andrew
Porter, and it was Strauss's first game of this, probably first game in about a year. 6 months anyway.
Yeah.
And so obviously, presumably he was blown hard, and Porter, he's got he's got the physique, but when you're playing at that level, it's men and boys for what he's used to. So.
Oh yeah, you have to learn somewhere. I mean, I thought Dooley was excellent. I thought when he came on, Bent put in two great stints because he had to come back on. Mike Ross got a bit of an injury, so he had to come back on. He did really, really well. Our second row was superb.
Yeah,
Hayden Triggs. That's why we signed Hayden. If anyone ever says why is Hayden Triggs in Leinster, what's he doing here? We've taken up a value. That's why Hayden Triggs is in Leinster.
Yeah, he had a great game. The backs were really good though. I mean, some of the passing was awesome. Adam Byrne scored a hat trick
again. Like I was saying in the New Zealand game.
Not only that, but he was muscular in defence. He was everywhere. He was great in the air as well.
Yeah, they had guys either side of them. Everyone had somebody beside them who was able to give them a bit of experience, a bit of encouragement. It was a lovely blend.
And you had Barry Daly making that break for one of the guys. You probably see it at some stage. That was an awesome break. He's got a fair bit of wheels on him.
He has.
I can see him coming. Both of those wingers coming on. Giving a bit of game time.
But he was very impressive. Like we said a couple of times, he was very impressive in the pre-seasons. It was nice to see him getting this.
In fact, when you consider that Dave Kearney and who I don't know what's happening with him, but Dave Kearney and Fergus McFadden are out. And Zane Kirshner could be taking a bit of a back seat to those guys, in my opinion.
It's funny that Kirshner hasn't featured in the last 2 weeks, unless he's injured.
I think he might be.
I think he might be. There's something, because he's in fairness to him, he's not a guy who, whatever about his, people will argue about his performances, but you can't argue about his professionalism. He's not a guy who'll throw a strop about playing away in Italy during this period of time. He's a good throw.
You presume.
Well, we've seen him do it. We know he's done it. And he's actually played quite well in these positions.
Yeah.
In these kind of games. So
you wouldn't know that maybe Lancaster, Cullen, and Gervin Dempsey just thought those two wingers were gonna, were ready. Basically,
maybe like Graham Henry. You were saying about Graham Henry. Maybe they're looking at guys like Daly and Byrne and saying, well, these are the guys for the next 5 years.
Yeah. I've always thought Byrne. I remember a couple of, I think it was the year he was under 20s. There was a Ulster fan giving me grief about him, saying, that guy's rubbish, he's all, he looks the part, but he's, a bit of a show pony, or just that he wasn't a great rugby player. So I'm really glad to see him come of age and, demonstrate that he's
a good rugby,
really good rugby player.
That was my, if you like, my talking point about Adam Byrne was, there was always it wasn't entirely inaccurate either. When he first broke through, he was more of an athlete than a footballer.
Yeah.
The footballer
took up the game late though.
I'm not saying it's without reason.
Yeah.
But
it's the sevens that's bringing it out of him, Dave.
I don't think it is. I would say that Tom Daly would have played 10 games for Leinster if it wasn't for the sevens at this stage.
Possibly.
But Adam Burns, the footballing side is caught up with the athletic side, if you like, and now he's looking much more complete, as you can see in the build up to Tom Daly's try. I mean, he gives him the scoring pass, and he gets involved early here as well. It has to be said.
He was everywhere. He was in the air. He was, as you can see there, he was on the ground. He was in attack. He was in defence. He was, that was very impressive.
Of course, this game wasn't on TV at all.
No.
Nice little dink from Ross Byrne from there, and look in the air.
Well done.
He keeps his head up. You see,
great presentation there for Daly's try. Ross Byrne was quite good in the controlling role as well.
Yeah.
Daly held back his run very well.
Yeah.
He didn't overrun that ball, which sometimes you can because you're going to go for the ball as well.
Yeah.
There's a bit of a bang at Dan Bigger of Ross Byrne.
Yeah, there is. There's certainly an element to it.
Those little touches.
I just zoomed in on this just to show like the footballing element to it.
Split second timing there.
Yeah. I was going to say this was the try of the match, but it wasn't.
It wasn't.
But it was really, really good.
Yeah. Nice little wristy pass out there from
Gibson Park, who played really, really well. He kept. We said it before. He kept a nice tempo on things.
Yeah.
These were the matches that when Leinster were winning Pro 12s, that we went away during autumn internationals
and did this. There we go. Here's the break.
It just hit the gas.
Barry Daly just puts on the afterburners. He nearly could have made it himself there.
Passed.
He probably should have passed there, but hey. He didn't even need Easton to tidy it up.
The hands were great here.
Look at those.
Pass.
Look at those hands. And Daly just held your man up. Bit of muscularity. They just held your man up for a fraction to give Byrne
Was that Levy that threw out the floated
Yeah,
pass?
well, I think so. I think we'll see it again here. I mean, the thing is, Adam Byrne's a big guy, and Daly's taller than him.
Yeah.
So they're not small guys. These are all 6 foot plus guys.
And they both have speed as well.
Yeah.
Both have the wheels.
Yes, it was.
No,
Pass.
it was Conan.
Oh, it was Conan.
Sorry.
Yeah, who had a great game actually.
Yeah.
Conan had an absolutely superb game.
And he finished off the try of the match, which is not the next one.
No.
There was just
This is-
ridiculous talent.
this
in
is
Leinster.
Berners.
I mean, there's
Second
another great player this year is look at this lovely pass there.
Oh yeah.
Is Tracy.
Yeah. He's come on immensely.
Yeah.
Over the last season and a half.
Yeah,
I think they ran out of numbers out
himself
wide.
and Stracey will have a big battle for the second hooker
Second
spot.
hooker spot. Yeah.
Here we go now. No. Next time.
It's nicely finished. Uses his power there,
Nice little catch and power over in the end.
and that's where Ross actually got injured. You can see him signalling to come off. But that's we're seeing again, like we were seeing in the New Zealand game. We're seeing tries been scored in different ways.
Mm-hmm.
Now you want to see this, don't
This
you?
is the one.
Yeah.
This is the one, buddy. This is a real team try.
Mhm.
Every single look at that little off.
Oh,
Ridiculous.
Harlem Globetrotters.
Couple of little giddlies in there.
We're
It seems to be a
coming
thing.
back
We seem
across.
to be sticking Dan Levy out in the wing.
Yeah,
It's a kind of a bit of a.
there's Tracy now.
Mhm.
Here's the little sequence now, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, he's trying to move from the out of the tackle.
Look.
Look at this. Bing.
Up.
Bong.
And
Bing.
thank
Look
you
at
very
this.
much.
Puts it into space. Into space. There we go.
That was just.
You can't defend that.
That is a trouser dampener of a try.
But you cannot defend that because the ball has been moved out of contact.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you're committing yourself to hit the guy and he's just popping it up in the air.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
But if you look at everyone hands, lovely, nice. But there has to be a commitment, not from the player to pass the ball,
Get there.
but from the guy behind them.
There
Yeah.
was a call there, obviously from Conan, that
Yeah.
he was going.
Actually, where I listened to it, I saw it on
floated
YouTube,
for it.
and there was no commentary, so you could just hear Nigel heavy breathing,
Yeah.
but you could hear the call in the background of on your left, and
Well, the Italian commentators loved that try, a bit too much from the sounds of them. They were quite orgasmic.
It was a
enjoying
beautiful
it.
team
Yeah.
try. It just was. Everything that's good about rugby and that.
Good take.
Ooh, penalty there. Pulling the man down. But thankfully we didn't need it. And lovely kick.
He kind of put these on a sixpence, didn't he?
Yeah. That's, I think, a really good part of his game. That's, while he's a bit of a counterbalance to Joey Carberry there, where he's, isn't it brilliant to have the two of them coming up behind Sexton, because he's got all the.
But presumably one of them will have to move on. It'll be a bit
Game
like Madigan,
management.
do you think?
Yeah, well, who knows?
It depends. I mean, the advantage is they're both younger than Madigan, and they're both at an earlier stage of the career. Madigan was at a point where his career was over if he didn't move.
Yeah, fair enough. But I'm just saying that, say, Sexton maybe goes to the next World Cup, right?
So that's his plan. He's
Yeah.
contracted to the next World Cup.
Okay. So
will
then
he
you've
make
got
it?
Carberry, who's certainly this season anyway, he's crept ahead of who's currently there in the background.
Well, when you consider that Joey Carberry was playing in an AIL final, how many months ago? 5 months
Yeah.
ago? 6 months ago? Will he catch Sexton by 2019 for the World Cup? He may well do.
Well,
Maybe.
we won't put a name on the
but-
guy who's coming
but-
up behind
but my-
because I think that's unfair.
but what I'm trying to-
just to say, Johnny Sexton caught and overtook Ron O'Gara for the 2011 World Cup. The opportunity is there if the player is good enough.
But I'm just more thinking about, let's say that he doesn't, or let's say he's just, then Johnny goes, he's going to step into Johnny's shoes, right? But you've got another guy who's a very talented player sitting in the wings, and is he going to hang around and go, well, I'm going to hang around for another 3 seasons till Sexton goes, so I can be the backup to Carberry, whose card has been marked because he's,
The special one.
the special one, and he's played in 10 games and played already for Ireland. What am I going to do? I want to play at that level, but I want to get there too. But I'm at least third in the ranking if everyone is fit.
Well,
Will he go up and have a dice with Paddy Jackson? in
Well,
Ulster?
what he has
They
to
could
do,
do it another
they can
10.
do it another 10. Yeah. What he has to do is he has to like I say, remember that Rog got overtaken, and B, he has to remember that Joey Carberry has had his card marked for the future, but lots of players have had their card marked for the future, and have never really pushed on. So all he can do is his best, and then reassess in a 2 years' time, kind of thing. So that's all he can do. I mean, that's literally all he can do. He can't make a decision now because
Well, don't forget, Joey Carberry's. It's kind of hard to believe
21.
me saying this, but he's in first year in the academy. First year. And he's coming on against the All Blacks. That's
I'd say his
ridiculous.
bonus. I'd say his win bonus for Ireland is probably bigger than his
his
academy
contract.
contract.
I'd say his win bonus for Ireland was probably played in jellies.
So, you've got Joey Carberry in first year in the academy, to just overemphasise that once more. Ross Byrne is in his last year in the academy, so technically Ross Byrne is ahead. The one thing this is really bad, one person this is really bad for is poor Al Colin Marsh, who's kind of the forgotten man now all of a sudden, There was talk at the end of last season that Ross Byrne might catch and pass him if he hadn't been injured, and now he looks to have the goods. So poor Al Colin Marsh might be the one back up 10 for Paddy Jackson. You never know. Good player, but when you've got 3 guys like that, Sexton, Carberry and Ross Byrne.
Now, here's a question actually that came in from Dara, and he asks, we were talking earlier about Adam Byrne. So if Adam Byrne continues this fantastic form, do you think he should be given the wing spot for Europe? Cheers. I think that as things stand, yes.
Yeah, well, especially as I said with Dave Carney and Fergus McFadden out.
Yeah. As things
you're
stand
gonna
for
have
Europe,
Issa.
my wingers are Issa and Adam Byrne.
Yeah.
Who played in the 2 matches we played already? Was it Zane?
Jane.
Insane in the membrane.
Yeah, well, he certainly put himself forward,
Yeah, I
hasn't
mean,
he?
that's all you can do when you're a young guy. All you can do is do your best and
Yeah,
put yourself into
4
the-
tries in 2 games, not too bad.
It's all right.
It's acceptable.
It's and we actually had another question in from a different Dara, from Dara Mulligan. He says, with Geordie Murphy out for 9 months and still early days for Sean O'Brien, leaving Reese only fully fit, are we potentially short at open side? No, because
Thinking
I
production line.
think the question went a bit awry there, because we have
Josh
Josh Van der
Fleer,
Fleer and Dan Levy. And then we've got Reese and Sean. Okay, Sean's still coming back. Reese is still coming back. We've got Jack Conan. And that's before you start even going into dipping below those guys into the likes of, Patter Timmins,
is an 8 as well.
Josh Murphy, Max Deegan.
6.
Yeah.
Deegan's
But
an
those
8.
guys for the back row kind of thing. So
Yeah.
I think we're I mean
Dominic Ryan.
I keep forgetting the guy. I mean,
He can play all 3
he's
back
finding
row
it hard to
positions.
get games
The A team.
in this. Yeah, I mean, it's really, that just shows, and that's nothing to do with him. That's to do with the talent of everyone else, kind of thing.
But he got capped for Ireland, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, yeah,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? Like, wow, he's fallen down the
He has.
the order.
Injury has kind of slowed him down a bit.
Injury slowed him down, and I don't think he's fallen down the pecking order. It's just the pecking order
Order's
moved.
got very high,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think it just grew. That's all. I mean, it's not. I mean, he hasn't. I mean, I have issues with him with his on game intelligence. His on pitch. I think he makes bad choices sometimes. But I think he makes too many bad
I
choices.
think if he fancies Protestant women, he's,
Possibly.
he's on, he's on
personally,
an earner up in Ulster.
he could well be. They need somebody who can
His
carry the
contract's
ball.
up at the
It's
end
hard.
of the year,
But they're
the end of the season. I mean.
he's still a very good player in the Pro 12.
Bloody right he
Yeah.
is. But
So
look, he was playing in Europe in Joe Schmidt's first
yeah,
year.
yeah. Scored 2 tries in one
Demolished
game.
Racing and
Yeah.
scored a couple of tries.
Yeah,
in
against Racing,
the
actually,
RDS. He was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
But
Injury did slow him down a bit, alright.
injury probably has he really gotten. Then when you've guys of the caliber of the people going up behind him and in front of him and beside him, and it's very hard. I mean, he took advantage of injury himself, and he took. I can't remember who gave him his first break. Somebody was injured and he got into the team and he didn't look back. He was such an exciting player. Like, he could be again, getting out from
Yeah,
under.
it's getting fresh start, fresh vistas.
Like, who's better than him apart from Kutsia now in Ulster and obviously Henderson, who may play in the second row. Who's a better back row?
If he was up there and if he was up there now, and also were playing a game in January and everyone was fit, he'd still start. I think
I think he'd be well
himself,
in there,
Kutsia, and maybe Chris Henry.
yeah.
Maybe they don't want him.
Maybe they don't.
Maybe
don't
he
know.
doesn't want to go. He did get a 2-year contract though, so maybe he thought about going. Maybe he
I would say also I'd want to know what the hell was going on up there before I'd move.
Well, let's talk about them. They were stuffed by Edinburgh at the weekend. Like, it was 21-3 at half time. Now it finished up 28-17, but that's because Ulster scored 2 tries in the closing minutes.
when Edinburgh had lost interest.
Something is rotten in the stateless.
They
That's
have,
Edinburgh, the third Italian team, who were beaten by Zebre
Yeah.
the previous week.
but they have lost their last 3 games.
Yeah,
I
something's
think
wrong
actually, and then they've actually lost 4 of their last 5 because they lost in Europe as well when a game that they should have won, and they completely threw it away in the last few minutes.
You can never tell. Everybody thought, and myself included, fully paid up member of the I thought Les Kiss going to Ulster was a master stroke by Ulster club. Hasn't really worked out
Not yet, anyway.
at all. They're worse at everything.
Yeah, but don't forget they
I
were.
bet you that team couldn't even rummage together a decent
But-
fry.
See, Dave, they were top of the league at one. Like, they were top of the league. It's only the last month that they've seemed to the wheels have come off.
Unfortunately, they were playing shite teams.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
well,
were top of the
apart
league.
from
After,
one.
didn't they beat 2 Italian teams?
Yeah, but they beat Glasgow away.
Yeah.
That was the bet.
That was the big one, yeah.
Most important thing they did.
They beat Exeter in the European Cup.
They stumbled past Exeter in fairness,
true.
who are in shit form.
And have signed Nico Matawalu, so they're not going to get any better.
We shall see.
Another match I saw at the weekend was Munster against
I saw that too,
Ospreys.
yeah.
They hockeyed them 33-0
Yeah.
and looked impressive doing
They
it.
did look good doing it. And
I
they're
didn't see
now-
it actually.
And
they're
a
now up to
full
second
house.
in the league.
One of the very rare times I've seen Musgrave Park
Full, yeah.
totally full.
Irish Independent.
Oh, sorry, Irish Independent Park.
Please.
But even in the corners of the terrace was full. You know what I mean? It was I wonder, and I mentioned it a few weeks ago when Foley died, there seems to be this resurgence, maybe because it's back in the consciousness of Munster fans. But they're certainly they're turning up for their team. There's another sellout on Friday for the Maoris game.
Yeah, that should be good. If it's half as good as the last time they played a New Zealand team, it's going to be.
They're not going to do
big
a
spectacle.
haka, I believe.
Yeah, that's a
There's
pity.
three of them there. There's three Kiwis.
Of course, the thing
Although
is that
the beauty of it last time was it's
So it was so
shock
unique.
value.
Exactly. Yeah.
And-
it was just
and
what
the-
are they doing?
Well, the thing is, the game fucked up Munster for the rest of the season. They lost Rua Tupoki. He got injured. He was their key player. He made a comeback and went off at half time after it. But that was him gone. You know, and we ran through Keith Earls in that semi final.
So they scored 5 tries on the way to beating Ospreys.
Again,
They-
shorn of their stars as well.
Yeah. And they, Ospreys had scored 37 tries in the previous 7 league games, and they held them scoreless. So that's pretty
Yeah,
impressive.
Ospreys do not get nailed very often.
No,
They always
and especially
go.
against Munster because they hate them.
Yeah.
So that was impressive, and it also leaves Munster neatly
Good.
3 points
Yeah.
behind us in second place in the league, which is nice.
Mm.
Glasgow also got
But
hockey by the
just before-
Scarlets.
Before you move on to that game, I just want to mention Blendell. I thought he was superb.
I didn't see it. I can't say.
And he
was
was
good.
He reminded me, and we said it during the European Cup game. He was like O'Gara. He was zinging them into the corners and playing his pack, the way a Munster pack or any pack wants to be played. Keep the ball in front of you, get up out of a scrum and see the ball 30, 40 metres
up
down.
ahead, yeah.
Having the right, whether it's Blendell or whoever, it's like I say, I didn't see it. But having somebody who can put the right direction onto things makes a huge difference. And Munster haven't had that very often.
Well, they haven't had it in 5
under Ian
years.
Keatley, so they haven't. So it does make a massive difference. I think they would have wanted to get another year or two out of Paul Warwick, to be honest with you, before, but that didn't work out for them for a whole variety of reasons. So they were kind of stuck with Keatley for longer than I think they really wanted to be. I think the thing about Keatley, in a way, I kind of feel sorry for him because he went in there and he
Really?
played really, really well when he arrived. Do you remember that couple of huge drop goals he got? Was it one against Northampton? Played really, really well. Then just fell off his form just fell off a cliff, and he never got an opportunity to get it back for whatever reason.
But he even got capped. He played for Ireland
Yeah.
against Italy.
It was the ironic cheering that did it.
Well,
Destroyed his confidence.
Well, I don't like seeing anyone
No.
sort of having nearly a nervous breakdown, but he, you can
I think
just
maybe
see
he should.
he's not enjoying. You can see he's not enjoying his rugby.
Maybe
Probably needs to get out of there. all
maybe
right.
he should join Dominic Ryan in the permanent suites of the Europa Hotel.
Maybe so.
They do a great fry up there in Europa.
John, you were going to mention Scarlets against
I thought
Glasgow.
you were going to mention Cardiff.
No, we'll talk about Cardiff. Hey,
Who?
your second favourite team.
Never my second favourite team. I just thought.
Anyway, we all-
Anyway. I just thought
So
they
Glasgow
might
were
eventually become the coming team in
They might,
Pro
but
12.
Cardiff were beaten by Scarlets. Sorry, not Glasgow were beaten by Scarlets.
Yeah, that was impressive.
That was good for us as
That was
well.
great for us. They were the one team that, well, them and the Ospreys looked like they were the high score, and they were going to do damage in the league, and they still might. But that's just put a nice stop to both of their gallops,
Yeah.
which is perfect timing for us, especially seeing as there's a layoff for a few weeks
Yeah.
before we get back into it. It's nice to be sitting back on top of the league for a few weeks.
And finally, the Dragons beat Connacht.
That's unfortunate.
Connacht
That's a
have
mistake.
just grinded to a halt nearly. I think they've only won 2 games this season in the Pro 12, and they're languishing in 9th.
Yeah, they're not looking good in the Pro 12, all right. Beating Toulouse, unfortunately, doesn't count in the Pro 12.
But like it's getting probably a third of the way through the Pro 12 games at the
8
moment.
games, yeah.
So they are getting to the stage now where they could be struggling for that playoff.
I think. Well, you see.
Sorry, for the top 6.
Oh yeah, the thing
Not
about
playoff. I think that's gone.
They are, yeah.
the thing about the situation they're in is actually the parallel last year was always with Leicester. I think it's a very good parallel again this year because Connacht are going okay in Europe, Leicester are going well in Europe. Neither team are having a good domestic thing,
campaign, yeah.
but both are very good teams. I mean, Leicester didn't win by a fluke. They won by being a very good team that were really well organised. Connacht are a very good team that are really well organised. It'll come back.
Sure.
The only question I'd have is, why did it go away? if they can fix that. Are guys just enjoying the success maybe a bit too much, having the gold badge on the sleeve?
Don't know about that.
Or is it just, maybe the teams have a little bit worked out and they just have to tweak it and reinvent themselves a little
Certainly
bit?
an element of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they have lost, what's his name? Muldowney was a huge loss. And we keep saying it, but he was a huge loss. Jack Carty's back there, he's playing very well. I think he,
Like they lost Henshaw, but he didn't play a huge.
No,
number. He
no,
played
no.
the big games, but he didn't play the bread and butter games.
No.
He didn't play.
He didn't play this game.
Dragons,
yeah.
and geez, they should be the Dragons.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Dragons are a bit of a rabble this year.
But they had a good team out
Their
against
own
them.
fans
That's the
are-
thing. They had a good team out against the Dragons.
Yeah.
They should have done better.
Well, at least they got within. They kept within the bonus point,
Yeah.
losing bonus point, but still, as I said, they're ninth in the table, and they've only won 2. Like I think they're going to struggle to make it into the Europe
To Europe,
playoffs.
yeah.
They will
Agree.
put on a big run. I reckon they will anyway. The only question is, will they do it soon
Won't be
enough?
enough. Yeah, well, you can see the Ospreys making Europe this year, but the Scarlets possibly might sneak in as well.
Mhm.
Maybe Cardiff.
No chance. Oh, they'll get to Europe all right. I mean, there's cheap fares for EasyJet out of Cardiff.
And there's the Amlin Cup
Oh, yeah,
as
there
well.
is, yeah.
Well, anyway, boys.
We just had one question, kind of in reaction to I suppose what happened yesterday, and it was MME Hayes asked, "How can we use rugby to get through the next 4 years?" I think that might be. And the thing is, I mean, we're talking about walls being built with Donald Trump, the mad bastard, but the kind of Canadian rugby and American rugby have kind of put up a wall between themselves because Canada were
Right.
due to send a franchise into pro rugby for next season. But the negotiation fell down on exclusivity. Pro rugby want, and in the United States have exclusivity. No professional team can play in the United States without their say so. And they wanted Canada, the Canadian Rugby Union, to sign up to that. It's a sensible thing. If you're a business, that's obviously what you
Yeah.
want. But the Canadian Rugby Union weren't willing to sign up to it. So there's kind of a Trump-like wall has sprung up along the northern exposures. But we got with Canada coming on Saturday. Do you remember when Canada were good back in the late '80s? They Gareth Reese at out half. He was really good. He was a
Played
really
for
good
Wasps.
player.
Played Player of the Year, I think,
Yeah.
in the English Premiership.
He was
Played
a
for
super
Wasps,
player.
yeah.
They always did have good players. I mean, they still have DTH Van der Merwe, who's a massive threat. Even if the rest of them are no good, if they can get him the ball, he
Yep.
can cause damage.
They had a couple of results in the World Cup, didn't they?
No,
I thought they did. I thought they had one good result.
against Romania.
They lost 50 to 7 or something to us.
Yeah.
It was a good result.
No, they didn't have a great World Cup. I think they were quite disappointed with how they went.
I think the World Cup was where they were on the slide
Yeah.
at that stage. But
And they're without Tyler Ardron as well, who's a big player for them. But it'll be interesting to see. It's always nice to see young guys, and they've got guys that we recognise like Kearns and Blevins are still in the squad. So
could be an interesting one.
yeah,
And we're all going.
yeah. So let's hope they can make Canada great again.
Is it sold out yet?
I'd say it's near enough to.
I think it's 6 that.
I think there's quite a few. But
Well,
I just thought in the wake
the
of
figure
the,
I saw at the weekend was 45,000.
Really?
Yeah,
in the wake of the All Blacks win,
Yeah.
making a few
That'd be great
new
attendance if they
rugby.
got that.
new
I mean
rugby fans.
we can fill. What game was it? We put 90,000 into Wembley Stadium.
I know, but there's loads of Irish over there.
Yeah,
And
there's lots of Irish here as well.
there's loads of Irish who go to an event in London.
Yeah, but there's more people living in London than the whole of the island of Ireland.
Oh, there are, yeah. But I think
Why?
I'd say it'll be as near enough to a full house as makes no odds.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, yeah. Well, anyway, boys, as ever, thanks a million, and thanks very much for watching. Cheers.